Good evening, everyone, and welcome to week 2 of Go Healthy. I hope everyone had a good start to your week. As you can see, you do have the optional tracker that you can submit if you haven't submitted that already today. Before the end of the day, you definitely can submit that. But again, it is an optional tool for you. Before we move on, does anybody have a question related to the optional tracker? If so, you can always send the chat. You can unmute your mic. We can go there. Hello, Jim. All right. And if you are typing up a chat in relation to that, I will grab it when it comes through. So we will go ahead then and get started for the night here. What we'll do today is we're going to start off like we do every week, discussing the success that you had from last week's action steps. We will then talk about our fourth fundamental of the program. We will then assign the week's action steps moving forward, and then we'll introduce next week's topic and next week's tracker and answer any questions that you may have. Okay. So, last week's action steps. If you do recall, we focused primarily on the third fundamental of the program, which is your fruits and your vegetables, your fruits and your vegetables. And for this program, we have set kind of a general goal of 5 servings per day of fruits and vegetables. Of course, like we said last week, if that goal is not quite attainable for you right now, you just set the goal that is attainable and you achieve that, and then you build on that. Hold on just a minute, y'all. Let me just go and make sure somebody's on mute. There you go. So we don't hear any background noise. All right. Okay. Also, if you remember, with your fruits and vegetables, just like the other 3 food groups that we're going to be looking at today, we look at those My Plate tips. The My Plate tips is what will give you guidance in selecting the right types of all of your food groups. So with fruits, remember the My Plate tip was to focus on whole fruits, where the vegetables was to vary your vegetables. Think about the different colors of vegetables so you can get a very wide array of nutrients in your diet. So my question is, if you would like to chime in, how did you increase your fruit and vegetable intake since we talked last week? So how did you increase your fruit and vegetable intake from when we talked last week? You can either unmute your mic or you can send the chat. I think I might have somebody type in a chat. Let me see if it'll pop up.
I'd like to insert that I've eaten more salads and with a variation of fruit and vegetables in the salad.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So yeah, eating salads, which salads is a great way to get your vegetables, and like she was saying, the green leafy vegetables, and then adding fruits and also other vegetables within that salad as well. Yeah, a good strategy to use. Okay, and Jim said on the chat, quit the junk food and started eating fruit. So yeah, just making that swap over, replacing the junk food with, fruits, vegetables, etc. Jim says, the Fruit Loops count? No, but they are good. That Fruit Loops would fall under that occasional category. Unfortunately, they don't even really have fruit in them. All right. Anybody else wants to chime in? Maybe how you increased your fruit and your vegetable intake? All right. Okay. If that chat pops up as I go along, I will grab it when it comes through. So again, fruits and vegetables should be a big part of your daily diet. Okay, should be a very big part of your daily diet. Remember last week we talked about all the benefits of getting fruits and vegetables in your diet. All right, so we will go on then and move to our topic of the day, which is looking at the fourth fundamental. Oh, but before we do that, I do have uh, a chat from Julia here. She says she went to the farmer's market and she purchased some fresh veggies and fruit and have added those to her meals where normally she would just leave those out. So yeah, that's important. She actually went to the farmer's market and purchased those products, and that's important. Don't leave fruits and vegetables up for chance. Definitely plan that out. Put them on a grocery list, or if you're wanting fruits and vegetables in your diet, definitely say make a plan that I'm going to go to the local farmers market and get local vegetables and fruits, etc. So yeah, that's a great strategy as well. Farmers markets are great. Plus, you're supporting the local economy, and the farmers. Right. All right, so let's talk today about the fourth fundamental of the course. It's kind of called portion control. And under that, it's really looking at two strategies. And let me just give you the introduction to those two strategies, and then we'll flush out each one, etc. We do like to call it portion control because you're going to see with the other food groups, your grains, proteins, and dairies, those are the ones where the calorie content will start going up in comparison to your whole fruits and your vegetables. That's why we always like to look at portion control, quality, etc. So, two strategies under this. Number one, the first strategy is using the My Plate. Remember the My Plate to help you lower your calories and improve the quality are your protein, your grains, and your dairy. And when we say improve your quality, we're really looking at the nutritional value of those grains, those proteins, and dairy. Okay, so you're getting the best bang for your buck with those food groups. Okay, and again, we're going to unpack this with the next slides here. And then the second strategy that we're going to talk about today, and this is optional for you, again, we're going to have a slide on this, is using meal replacements. What we consider meal replacements in this program is frozen entrees, protein shakes, nutrition bars. But again, we're going to unpack that shortly, okay? So let's go under this fourth fundamental of portion control. Let's talk about the protein food group. Now, you can find more information about this on page 10 in your booklet, or like we looked at last week, you can go to the myplate.gov website, go under the Eat Healthy tab, go to the proteins, click on that, and you're going to see what we'll be talking about today, plus a wealth of additional information. Okay. So definitely use that to your benefit with the myplate.gov website. So, your protein, again, you want to use your MyPlate to lower your calories and improve the quality for your protein food group. Now, if you want to see specific serving recommendations, again, you can go to the myplate.gov website or you can go to page 10 in your booklet. Now, with your protein, you get protein from both animal sources and from your plant sources. Animal sources of proteins would be your meat, which would be your beef, your pork, and your lamb. Also, poultry, fish, shellfish, and eggs. And then you have your plant protein sources, which is your vegetarian option. for those people who don't eat animal proteins, these are your vegetarian options for your proteins, and that would be your beans, your peas, your lentils, soy products, nuts, and seeds. Okay. Now, you have the tip, the My Plate tip for your proteins as well. Remember, we said with fruits, the My Plate tip was focused on whole fruits. The My Plate tip for your veggies was to vary your veggies. For proteins, they say vary your protein routine. And let's see what we're talking about that. One part of that is choosing lean or low fat meat and poultry. So if you are eating animal proteins, you want to choose lean or low fat meat and poultry. That would be suggestions there: 93% lean ground beef, if not leaner, pork loin, and skinless chicken breast. Let me pause here. Let me put someone on mute. I hear some background noise. There you go. All right. Also, under the My Plate tip of varying your protein routine is choose fish and shellfish for those healthy fats. You hear about the omega 3s that are very important for you. And if you are eating fish and you are eating shellfish, a general recommendation is to eat at least 8 total ounces per week. Another tip under that varying your protein routine is try meatless meals. So if you want to go the vegetarian option, you can do things like bean-based vegetable chilies, lentil soup, also tofu with vegetables. Okay. And then the last part of this varying your protein routine is limit the consumption of red meats and those processed meats. Processed meats would be things like bologna, bacon, salami, all those types of things. Now, with the protein food group, and you're going to see this with the grains and the dairy, I like to look at swaps, okay? Swapping in, swapping out. So let's look at some examples of making better swaps, which will improve the quality of that protein and also help lower the calories. So, an example of a swap would be, say, if you're going to eat red meat, swap in a pork tenderloin, or excuse me, swap in a beef tenderloin or a filet, swap out a ribeye. Okay. Another example of a swap in, swap out, again, to increase the health value of that protein or the quality and also to control the calories there. Swap in something like turkey breast, ground turkey breast, and swap out ground beef. Okay. Now, another good swap to improve the quality, help lower the calories for this protein would be like swapping in baked or grilled chicken and then swapping out the fried chicken. All right. And then I got two more examples: swapping in baked or grilled fish and swapping out the fried fish. And then last but not least, and this would be like if you want to go meatless, is say swap in beans, peas, and lentils and swap out that cut of red meat. So again, what I like to look at with these protein sources is think about those swaps. What can you swap in and what can you swap out? Okay. So does anybody have any questions related to the protein? Again, if so, you can unmute your mic, you can send me a chat. Okay. All right, and if that chat does pop up, I will grab it when it comes through. So now let's take underneath this fourth fundamental, let's look at the next food group, which would be your grains. Again, you can look on page 10 of your booklet, or you can look on the myplate.gov website, go under the Eat Healthy tab, click on grains, and it's going to give you a wealth of information about grains. Obviously, we're going to pull out some of this and talk about it today. Okay. So with grains, again, use your My Plate to lower the calories and improve the quality, okay, for the grains food group. If you want serving recommendations, you can not only look on myplate.gov website, but you can look on page 10 in your booklet. Now, your grains is any food made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, or another cereal grain. Examples of this would be breads, pastas, rice, breakfast cereals, oatmeal, grits, tortillas, and popcorn. Now, you have two subgroups of your grains. You have whole grains and you have refined grains. All right. Now, let me just show you an example of a whole grain and a refined grain in relation to bread. A whole grain would be like whole grain or say whole wheat bread. You can look on the food label. Under that food label, under total carbohydrates, if it's a whole grain or whole wheat option, you're going to see that it has dietary fiber, which is very important for your body. An example here, a slice of this whole grain bread has 2 grams of dietary fiber. If you were to look specifically under the ingredients list, you're going to see the first ingredients is listed as whole wheat flour. You're going to see that word whole, and that would let you know that it is a whole wheat product, okay? Refined grain would be something like white bread. If you look on the food label under total carbohydrates, you're going to see the dietary fiber is 0, so it's been removed during that processing. And then under the ingredients list, if you look there, it's going to say enriched wheat flour, okay? Enriched wheat flour. All right, so that will show you the difference. Now, according to the MyPlate tip, which gives you your guidance, they say to make half of your grains whole grains. Make half of your grains whole grains. The reason we want to make sure you get at least half of your grains whole grains, because whole grains is what contains all of the nutrients, which is your vitamins and your minerals. Also, it contains the dietary fiber, whereas a refined grain, which would be like white bread, white rice, white pasta, a lot of those nutrients have been stripped away during the processing, and then all the fiber was removed. Now, they will go back in and enrich those refined grains to put back in some of those nutrients lost, but they never can put in the fiber, okay? So ideally, try to get more whole grains than refined grains, all right? Now let's look at swaps. Again, I like to look at the grains, just like proteins, in relation to swaps, making these swaps, okay? And the first example would be to swap in brown rice, swap out white rice. So a brown rice would be considered a whole grain. White rice would be considered a refined grain. Another example here of these healthier swaps would be swap in, whole wheat pasta, swapping out the white pasta. The whole wheat pasta would be considered the whole grain. The white pasta would be considered the refined grain. And then 2 more examples here. Say if you're looking at cold cereals, and Jim, this one's for you here. You can see a better swap would be if you're doing a cold cereal, swap in a whole grain cereal or an oat cereal, like for example, Cheerios, and then swap out the Fruit Loops. Okay. And then last but not least, another one as far as a hot cereal would be to swap in, say, the original oatmeal, meaning no maple, brown sugar, all those things added to it, like you see in the example. Okay. So again, my plate tip, make half of your grains whole grains. So anybody have any questions on that? Again, you can send a chat. You can unmute your mic. All right, and if that chat does pop up, I will grab it. Now, this takes us to the last part of this 4th fundamental, which is looking at the last food group, which is dairy. Again, you can look on page 11 of your program booklet for more information. You also can look at the myplate.gov website, go under the healthy eating tab, click on that and go to dairy, and it's going to show you a wealth of information beyond what I will go over today. But again, using the My Plate to lower your calories and improve the quality for those dairy food groups. Again, you have serving recommendations in your booklet on page 11 or the myplate.gov website. And your dairy products would include your milk, yogurt, cheese, lactose free milk, fortified soy milk, and soy yogurt. All right. Now, according to the My Plate tip, here it comes again. They want you to move to low fat or fat free dairy products. The reason you do that because it's going to lower the calories and it's going to improve that quality by either limiting or removing that harmful saturated fat in that food product. Okay. So that's important. So lowering those calories and decreasing, or if not eliminating, that unhealthy fat. Now, I like to look at swaps again, okay, with your dairy products, just like the grains, just like the proteins. An example you see here, you can swap in the fat-free milk, swap out the whole fat milk. If you do that, you're going to save calories and you're going to totally remove that harmful saturated fat, okay? Another example would be to say swap in fat-free cheese, swap out whole or full fat cheeses. Again, you're going to drop the calories and you're going to limit, if not totally remove, that harmful saturated fat. And that harmful saturated fat is what can lead to heart disease. And another example here would be, if this is your yogurt products, would be to swap in maybe a plain yogurt that is fat free, or you can see here by Faye, it's 0%, meaning 0% fat, where you would swap out the higher full fat yogurts. Again, if you do that, you're going to drop the calories and you're going to eliminate or remove or limit that harmful saturated fat. And then last but not least, these are dairy alternatives because some people may choose not to consume dairy products. If so, you do have those dairy alternatives, like your almond milks, your oat milks, your soy milks, different things like that. So those plant-based type milks. But if you do that, make sure you select the unsweetened versions. Prime example here of this swap, you would swap in, this is an example of silk almond milk. On the label, it will say unsweetened, whereas the sweetened version, meaning they added sugar, which is a no-no, would be just say silk almond milk that has the sweetener added. Again, that's where you can turn around and look at the food label and identify that as well. But on the label, it will say unsweetened. So that's important there for those dairy alternatives. So again, you're making those swaps. So any questions or comments with the dairy products? Okay. So like I said earlier, there were kind of two strategies under this portion control. The first one was using that My Plate to help lower the calories, improve the quality of your grains, proteins, and dairies. Again, think about using those swaps. Anytime you're in those food groups, think about swapping in, swapping out, which now takes us to this last portion of the fourth fundamental, something what we call meal replacements. This is, you have more information about this on page 12 in your booklet. Now, this second strategy of meal replacements is optional for you. It is optional, okay? Now, what we consider a meal replacement would be a product that is already portion controlled for you. That would include frozen entrees, protein shakes, and nutrition bars. These can be used as a meal, they can be used as a snack. Now, a goal, if you do choose to consume like a meal replacement product, is one, but no more than two a day. However, you definitely want to make sure you watch out for additives, okay, such as sodium and added sugars, especially say if you do frozen entrees. It's very important to turn it over, look at the label, look how many calories are on that frozen entree, look at the sodium content, and also do some comparative shopping to similar products. Okay. Again, your booklet will give you some general recommendations for that. Okay. So again, that's important. Now, if you do things like protein shakes, now you can prepare your own protein shakes if you want to. You do have a few, I think, recipes in your program booklet. You also can go to the myplate.gov website, go to that tab that says My Kitchen, if you remember, and it'll show you recipes and it will actually show you drinks and beverages and shakes that will give you some healthy options too. So you can make your own. You can buy some that are already pre-made. If you do that, definitely make sure you check the label and make sure you look at the added sugar content and keep it low if non-existent. Uh, and then nutrition bars. Nutrition bars can be a trap as far as not only calories, but added sugars. So that's where you would want to do some comparative shopping if you get those nutrition bars. Really looking, again, not only at the calories, but those added sugars. And you want to keep those low, if 0 grams. Okay. Again, this is why we throw this in here as an option. Like I said just earlier, you can have there are some guidelines, strategies for healthier, lower calorie selections on page 12 for this you can look at, and also some shake recipes on page 26 of your booklet, or like I said, on the My Plate Kitchen tab. All right. So anybody have any questions on this optional strategy here? All right. We got a quiet group tonight. Okay. And again, if that chat pops up, I will grab it. Now it's going to take us to the week's action steps, your week's action steps. Remember, we're taking a targeted approach to these fundamentals, okay? As you do recall, in the introduction week, we talked about using that guide to smart food choices to help you select the lower calorie choices within all those 5 food groups, okay? Remember, we talked about the anytime foods, the portion control foods, and the occasional foods. So, again, still using that guide to smart food choices. Okay. And then the second thing that we targeted last week, remember, was fruits and vegetables. We have set a goal in this class for 5 servings a day. Remember, make sure you use those My Plate tips with fruits, focus on whole fruits. Veggies, vary those vegetables. Think about different colors of your vegetables. And then the other target that we talked about was your water intake, and that was at least 64 ounces of water per day. We talked about that in the introduction class. Again, if that 64 ounces is not attainable for you right now, set one that is more attainable, work toward that, reach that goal, and set another goal toward this. Okay. Now, the new portion of the week's action steps, other than continuing those fundamentals, again, is using those My Plate tips to control the calories and the quality of your proteins, grains, and your dairy. Think about making those swaps. Remember, protein foods. The My Plate tip is to vary your protein routine. Okay. We talked about making those swaps. Also, with your grains, the My Plate tip was to make half of your grains whole grains, making that swap. And then that dairy food group is to move to low fat to fat free products, is that tip. So, again, making those swaps within those. And of course, you do have that option of the meal replacements. Okay. So, any questions on the action steps for this week? All right. And again, if that chat pops up, I will grab it. All right. Which takes us to the next topic. Now, it does say next week's topic. Next week, next Monday, we will not have class. It's going to be Labor Day. I know our offices are closed. I'm assuming y'all's offices are closed. But next Monday, we will not have class. Okay, but we will resume 2 weeks from today. So you have actually 2 weeks to work on these action steps that we talked about. And when we meet back in 2 more weeks, we're going to talk about the last fundamental, which is physical activity. Okay, physical activity. Now, what I will do after today's meeting, I will go into the meeting link and I will cancel next week's meeting link only, just so that's removed off your calendar, but all other weeks will still be listed on your calendar. Okay, so in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about physical activity. Okay, and then the optional tracker. Tomorrow, I will send you the link to the next tracker. Of course, just read the instructions and it'll tell you that next tracker will not be submitted until 2 weeks from today, but it'll be listed on there for you. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions or comments before we go for the day? Thank you, Ted.
Thank you for your support.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you, Jim. Anyone else? Now, I will, like the last 2 weeks, I am recording this. So either tomorrow or Wednesday, I will send everybody a recording of the PowerPoint presentation so you can go back and look at that. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Julia, Jennifer. Anything else before we go? All right. Well, thank y'all very much. I will see you all in 2 weeks. Other than that, y'all have a great one. Have a great Labor Day. We'll see you in 2 weeks down the road. Thank y'all.